There is no business like show business. Let's recap the Tonys 2024. Hey, I'm Roxy with Roxie's Broadway Breakdown, and I want to share some of my highlights and lowlights. Okay, starting with the Alicia Keys Jay-Z reunion with her classic Empire State of Mind. Hey, the whole Hell's Kitchen montage into their reunion, she had the crowd on their feet. She was up, she was pumped, she was energetic. Shout out, side note, to that Gucci suit she was rocking. Yeah, it was great. I loved it. And I have to say, even though that was pre-recorded, it did make Ariana DeBose's real opening number look a little lackluster. I'm just saying. Another highlight for me was Jonathan Groff's acceptance speech for Best Actor in a Musical. It was just heartwarming and charming, and he seemed so humbled, and this was his third nomination, and so he finally won, and I just love him as a performer. So it was just really endearing, and I loved it. I loved his speech, and it was just, I was like, yay, he finally got it. He's so well-deserved. He's just a great performer, and I just loved seeing that he finally got his Tony. And then Ricky Ubeda, if you're not familiar with him, he won season 11, So You Think You Can Dance, and he has done some other Broadway things, but he stars in the musical Illinois, and he performed on the Tonys, and he is just an amazing dancer. I mean, not only technically, but the passion he puts in his dance is just phenomenal. I mean, they showed him coming off stage and he was like crying. You can just see it in his dance, what he puts into it. So his performance on the Tonys, I could just watch him forever. It was a true highlight for me. So shout out to Ricky Ubeda. As far as the overall like Tonys and the awards given, I thought for this season, I mean, for all the musicals that opened and all the ones that were nominated, I thought it was a pretty fair and even distribution. No one really walked away with, you know, all the Tonys except for Stereophonic that walked away with everything, but that's a play. I'm not going to talk about them. Okay, so Outsiders, that was nominated for 12 Tonys, won for Best Musical. Some maybe thought that was an upset. I didn't think so. I mean, won for Best Musical, Best Director. I think on the whole, this probably was the most well-rounded musical. The cast is super talented. If you haven't listened to the cast album, go now and listen. If you don't cry when you hear Stay Gold, I dare you. I double dog dare you to not cry. The cast album's amazing from what I've seen of all the choreography and the different numbers. I love it. The sets, it's nostalgic. I mean, it's based on S.E. Hinton's classic novel, Francis Ford Coppola's movie. I think it's a story that resonates with so many people, and I think people just get wrapped up in everything that the Outsiders bring and just resonates with people. So I think that's why on the whole, on the package, people just were really kind of maybe cheering or rooting for the Outsiders to win. It was maybe the most familiar to them, and they were kind of like, yeah, the Outsiders. Maybe it didn't hurt that Angelina Jolie was a producer and she was kind of out there, you know, advertising it and giving interviews. But that is not to take away from the cast or the show, because I do think it's a good show and I think the cast is super talented. So I do think that was probably the best overall musical on the whole to win. As far as Alicia Keys' musical, Hell's Kitchen, that had 13 nominations. Malia Joy Moon won for Best Actress in a Musical, and Keisha Lewis won for Featured Actress in a Musical. Malia Joy Moon, it's not biographical, but she sort of represents the Alicia Keys character, if you will. It's about a young girl coming of age in Hell's Kitchen. And these are the two like powerful performances in the show. They're like the driving force, two strong women in the show. And so I think by getting their awards, it was acknowledging Alicia Keys and her work in this show and saying, yes, we recognize the show, we recognize the talent of these women, we recognize their performances, and so this is our way of applauding the show. I think, maybe. As far as Suffs, Suffs was nominated for, I believe it was 6 Tonys, but Shayna Taub won for book and score. She wrote the book, score, and starred in the musical. She's the second woman in history to do so. I think Suffs was a very important musical this season. It is about women and the 19th Amendment getting their right to vote. Very important, especially in this season and the election coming up. But I think this musical is well respected, and it was important to recognize it, and by Shayna winning for Best Book and Score, I think that was a great acknowledgement of her work this season. Illinois is basically a dance show. It is very much in the dance genre. And Justin Peck, I called this. He won for his choreography, and I'm so glad. It is captivating. It is mesmerizing. It is breathtaking. I can't say enough about Justin Peck's choreography for this show. And I'm just sorry that they didn't telecast his acceptance speech. Lately, I've noticed that they have not called up the choreographer to accept their Tony on television. They just like give it, you know, like in the ads or commercials or something, or at a later date. I don't know, but I'm like, you do know that choreography is a big part of a musical, right? But anyway, shout out to Justin Peck. I'm so glad he won. Well deserved. And then Water for Elephants was just shut out. It didn't win anything. I don't know. I mean, this was a huge season for musicals. There was a lot of musicals that got snubbed completely. They weren't even nominated. Everybody thought Great Gatsby was going to get a lot because it's a big splashy musical, or maybe Back to the Future, Lampica, The Notebook. A lot of them got snubbed, but Water for Elephants was nominated, just didn't win anything. As far as revivals, Merrily We Roll Along won. I think that was always the favorite to win. It's an old Sondheim show that wasn't successful the first time, but the way they revamped it, kind of the way it was maybe originally intended, but it was the favorite to win. I don't know why Gutenberg was even nominated as musical. Even Andrew Rannells and Josh Gad did like this whole comedic skit of why it was justified to be nominated. Tommy, I wasn't impressed. I did see Tommy when it was originally on Broadway, when it won 11 Tony Awards, but I wasn't impressed this time. It was just, I didn't like the choreography. It was kind of just dark and incoherent. I don't know. I just didn't like it. There was something about it. I was just like, nah. And then Cabaret. Okay, guys. Now, I love Eddie Redmayne. And I know the MC's always been like a very avant-garde, eccentric, kind of flamboyant character. I mean, when Joel Grey played him, he had, you know, like white makeup and very red lips, and he was very, you know, garish. And Alan Cumming played him in a totally different direction. He was with the leather and very sexual overtones and very harsh. I didn't get Eddie Redmayne's like little clown hat and the rubber gloves, and he was just creepy and scary. And then the Kit Kat girls were kind of cartoonish, and then Sally Bowles with the little hot pink cheeks and the Betty Boop makeup. I don't know. And none of it worked for me. None of it worked for me. And when I thought about it a couple of days, I was like, it's as if Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk got together and was like, Cabaret, American Horror Story. Yeah, it was like AHS, Cabaret. That's how we're going to produce it. I don't know. It was just, it was really weird. It was really bizarre to me. And it's gotten mixed reviews. Some people are like, oh, it's like fun and immersive. And then some people are like, we're not going there. We're not doing it. And that would be the category I fall in. So anyway, there you go. There are my thoughts on the Tonys. The 24-25 season is shaping up to be huge. Another big season. Can't wait to get into it. There you go. Don't forget to click and subscribe. and I'll see you in my next.